I heard that 51 yard last night.
Yes, thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and begin our meeting this evening. And Councilwoman Krista Hall will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and say the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we thank you so much because you are good and you are faithful and you are trustworthy in all things. Lord, I just thank you for the opportunity to serve, and I pray that as we make decisions this evening that you would guide and direct our hearts, give us wisdom, and we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I'll just mention briefly that Councilman Fish is Keaton's absent. Their family is experiencing illness. I think the kids are sick, mom and dad are sick, so grandma brought chicken noodle soup, so hopefully they'll be better soon. So, but he called me earlier this afternoon and said he would try to make it, but wasn't too sure. So I think that's where he is this evening. So we're going to move along here, and I would seek a motion to approve our agenda.
I make a motion.
Second.
Chris makes the motion, Brent seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Citizen comments. The instructions for citizen comments are on the screen. If you'd like to come up and address the council, we're here to listen. I can limit your comments to 3 minutes. I think there's a pad of paper there, so you can sign your name and at least put your address on there. We appreciate that. And with that, we'll go ahead and open citizen comments. So, if somebody can interpret that, that'd be great. She's cheering you on, Karen.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Karen Keatley. I live at 928 Southwind Circle in the Seasons. I just celebrated my 13th year in this wonderful city. I'm excited to see all the progress that the city is making. I'm especially excited for the progress of the Senior Center. I enjoy helping out with programs, events, communications, and other areas. We need the city's support to fund for the future. We need money for programming. We need a space close to the center for an office for a director and where seniors can come for private conversations. We need to be able to bank money for the future of a new senior center because we will outgrow the one we're using now. We want future seniors to see this is a city that sees the value of supporting its older citizens because they've supported the city with their tax dollars for many years. It has been amazing to see how seniors are bonding together to help each other physically, mentally and socially. I want to see this extended to seniors in the area that don't know about us. I ask you to support what Amanda is proposing. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. So there's a few of our seniors. Amanda Treadwell, 410 Richard Road, acting volunteer director of the Goddard Senior Center. There's a few of our seniors that weren't able to make it or didn't feel comfortable reading what they wanted to say. So I have 3 letters to share with you for you guys to look over. Because if I read it, it'll take my entire 3 minutes, and I need my 3 minutes and more. So, I'm going to read this because I'm not good with memory. So, good evening, Mayor and City Council members and staff. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here to provide an update on the Goddard Senior Center's incredible growth and impact, as well as the request for your continued support for 2025 funding. As of today, we proudly serve 242 registered members, with 232 of them being age 55 or above. In August alone, our senior center facilitated 497 individual senior experiences where they participated in an activity in August. That's just halfway through September, we're already seeing 223 interactions just in the first 16 days, and we welcomed 50 new members just in the first 16 days of this month. Our outreach is expanding beyond expectations. Our Facebook group has grown to over 300 followers, and we're distributing 300 plus newsletters every month to our community and to keep them informed. We're thrilled to announce that starting October 1st, we're officially launching our Meals on Wheels and Friendship Meals. Currently, we have 16 homebound seniors on the list for assessment and 69 seniors to be assessed for the Friendship Meals, ensuring they receive not just nutrition, but much needed social interaction. This Thursday, we'll also be celebrating our grand opening and ribbon cutting with our first Senior Expo and Resource Fair, featuring 21 service providers locally and surrounding areas. This event will empower our seniors to provide them with the valuable resources to remain connected and engaged with our community. Through strategic partnerships, we've enhanced our service significantly. Genesis Health Club offers now free water aerobics and silver sneakers classes due to our partnership and communications. Starbucks offers free coffee. Iron Nutrition runs our cardio drum ball. Dove Estates collaborates with us on bingo, car shows, drive-in movies. The Kansas Lions Foundation and Goddard Lions Club offers us low-cost printing and postage services. Goddard Walmart is offering a volunteer give-back program. For every hour that they donate of their time, they'll give us, Walmart Corporate will donate $10 back to our senior center.
30 seconds.
I'm running out of time. We also doing pharmacy vaccination clinics. Our challenges is storage space to accommodate our growing programs, an office for a director, wall space to meet the requirements for our grant for having much needed information and resources available on the wall for flyers, brochures, pamphlets, and booklets, additional facilities to host evening and weekend activities for our seniors that are still working and cannot make it during the daytime, and looking at transportation options for our seniors that cannot make it.
Sorry.
Can I finish?
Please do.
Our funding request for 2025, we are asking for your support for a request of $46,000 to continue building our success. $40,000 from the City of Goddard and $6,000 from our Sedgwick County grant funds. This will support hiring a part-time director, provide dedicated office space for our new part-time director, and workspace for our volunteers and board members. This additional space will offer the wall space that we need to create the Welcome and Aging Resource Center and giving flexible hours for weekends and evenings to offer more activities, gatherings, confidential consultations, and much needed senior support. By securing additional facilities for larger events, the funds will also support that, and then continuing our monthly newsletter and increasing our outreach, exploring transportation options, and applying for nonprofit status, which will allow us to open more grant opportunities and expand our services. We're grateful for the support of our city and unwavering support. in the funding. From what I've learned about the county funding process and what has been shared at the most recent county commissioner meeting that our mayor spoke at, the $46,000 in funding request is instrumental in helping us qualify for the additional funds in 2026 and beyond, based upon what other cities put into their senior centers. This commitment further demonstrates the City of Goddard's dedication to our seniors and sets us up for long-term success and growth. Looking ahead, we hope to continue our partnership and support. The increased funding that we're requesting ensures our seniors that their tax dollars, which they have supported Goddard the longest, will be reinvested into meeting their needs and enable the Goddard Senior Center to meet the growing needs of our seniors, ensuring that they remain connected, supported, and engaged in 2025 and beyond. We appreciate your time and your funding consideration, and we're grateful for whatever your decision is. Thank you. And thank you for the extra time. I tried to talk fast, but they told me not to talk too fast, so I couldn't understand.
Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Linda Giesman. I live at 201 North Pine. And I've lived there for, well, been in the Goddard area I've lived in this house for 31 years. When I moved in, one of my neighbors was Maxine Shear, longtime resident of this community. She had the house in this community, a very historical house. Down the street is Pearl Campbell, another long-time investor in this community. Her husband was the principal of the one school Goddard had. She and I discussed school issues continuously. And I had noticed that Maxine and Pearl often opened their homes to their friends who were also retired, and they would have afternoon games. Mainly cards, of course. I'm not sure which game it was, but cards. And they had nowhere else to go. Here they are, roots of Goddard. And they had others' homes to go to, which I'm sure they enjoyed. However, it limited how many people could be there. Now, I've grown up with their children, and my kids went to school with their grandchildren, and now I find myself in her position. I'm finally at a point where I can start enjoying doing what I want to do and not have to run around and take care of kids and getting them where they want to go, and enjoy my later years. And I don't play cards, so I don't invite anybody here to play cards. The senior center has been, I've just been involved for a few months, and it has been wonderful. I feel like I'm being invested in now, instead of me always investing in the schools, the community, my kids, my grandkids. Someone's investing in me now, and I appreciate that. Now, I understand there's a discrepancy on numbers that we're looking at, and I know that the higher amount is what I prefer, because I know what some of the plans are. And without that higher number, some of the things that I have discussed with Amanda won't happen. And other services providing not only for seniors, but for community. And so, that's a way for me to give back at this time to my community. And, you know, I've been here 31 years, and there's no for sale sign in front of my house right now. So, you know, I plan on staying here for a little bit longer anyway, Lord willing. So, I would really encourage you to look at the larger number, not the lesser number, so that we can reinvest in our seniors who have invested so much in our community through the years. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Honorable Mayor. This is on record now. And City Council members, my name is Malloy Leib. I live at 227 North Spruce in Goddard. They got it now.
Is this a plant?
I don't know what it is, but I think I better be quiet.
It's good. I'm just saying, I'm here, I'm a proud member of the Goddard Senior Citizens, and the men and women of this group are just awesome. They're a joy to be around. Linda, don't play putt-putt with her. She's really, really good. So, but I just want to extend my deepest appreciation to Karen Keatley and Amanda Treadwell for all their hard work, the hours they put in, we won't even know. And they just spearheaded this and just the fundraising that they've gone through on this. I greatly appreciate the mayor and the council's support in this as well. And this organization is meeting a long overlooked need in this community, and I'm especially excited about the No Senior Left Behind program, in which those who without family nearby, or they might have family nearby, but they can be checked on regularly. They're included in the meals in our community, and perhaps even can get to the activities if we provide transportation. In my job at the hospital, I've seen too many times elderly come in physically in poor shape, and sometimes it's too late before they come in. And it's because they don't have anyone who's checked on them and no one who's cared for them, and it's really sad to see the condition when they come in. So hopefully this won't be the case in our community, and I thank you guys for your support.
Thank you, First Lady.
Well, good evening, Council, Mayor. Good to see you again. We had a pre-meeting here for everybody else, or we covered some of this already. So at last council meeting, my name is Russ Wallen, 19894 West Kellogg Drive. Last council meeting, you voted on some verbiage on a draft moratorium for 48 months for all duplexes going forward. It was a bitter pill for me to swallow to hear a 48-month moratorium, and I looked at it as an act of lunacy, quite honestly. Why lunacy, in fairness? It removes all control over the form, fit, and function of housing that is coming towards Goddard or expanding around. We don't put duplexes in or apartments in over stuff that we already have. Very rarely does that ever happen. We expand out. Well, other communities around us are expanding our way, and I'm watching it happen, and they're 100% duplexes. 100%, and that's what's coming our way. We say no to all of it, and we're incentivizing those builders to go elsewhere. But they're still coming to our border, to our town, and all around us. And that's not what I want for this community. I don't think you do either. Again, they're coming this way, but at the end of the day, I want you to understand that these are going to be our neighbors, like it or not. These trends that we see in the all duplex neighborhoods that I see I'm aware of, they are governed by HOAs. They're newly reimagined communities with controls in place to maintain some level and semblance of standards. I don't want to see you give up your control over what's coming to be our neighbors. By saying no, you give up that control. We can't control it anymore. We have another challenge that I see that you're in, and I've talked to Craig and administration and Mayor Lee about this. But we have community strategic plans. We have business plans that are woefully out of date at the moment, and I know it's going to be coming, but I'd ask that you prioritize that to get that kind of information ready to go sooner so that it can help you and assist administration and council to make, thank you, informed decisions. So the areas that we're trying to help are incomes at all levels, single parents, first-time home buyers. Goddard USD, our biggest employer, most of those people can't afford to live here, senior citizens, people of color, and renters. And on the topic of renters, I've heard it too often, and I think our audience has heard it too. Being a renter or owning rental property is not a four-letter word. Thank you. I want you to be careful in the standards that you enact and make sure that they're fair and equitable and they don't leave anybody else out. Don't price us out of the market. That's discriminatory and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see all 100%, 40%. There's some number in there better than zero, even if it's 5% for a year or two or whatever that number is. But be very, very, very careful on what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Anyone else? Going once, going twice? Citizen comments are hereby closed. We'll move on to ex parte disclosure. At this time, I would like to give the City Council a chance to declare any conflict of communications they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's agenda items impartially. No on this side, guys. We're good. I'd like to disclose that I've had some involvement in with the senior center in terms of visiting with Amanda. I also last Wednesday did go speak to the county commissioners. I thank them for giving us $6,000 and kind of shared with them some of the numbers and things and the activities that are taking place. I've checked with legal counsel and they don't, Ryan doesn't see that it's necessarily a conflict, but I did want to disclose that I've been involved in conversations and those things. So anyway, with that, we'll move forward. Appointments, proclamations, recognitions. Proclamation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your agenda packet, you do have the proclamation for National Senior Center Month. Mayor, I don't know if it's tradition if you read those word for word or not, or if you just sign those, but again, this is just recognizing senior centers across the nation, including ours here in Goddard, Kansas.
Mayor, typically you would read the proclamation, so if you would, we'd appreciate that.
I'd be happy to. If I can see. National Senior Center Month Proclamation, City of Goddard, Kansas. Whereas older Americans are significant members of our society, investing their wisdom and experience to help enrich and strengthen our community. And whereas Goddard Senior Center has acted as a catalyst for mobilizing and creating energy, vitality, and commitment of older residents of the city of Goddard. And whereas through a wide array of services, programs, activities, senior centers empower older citizens of Goddard to contribute to their own health and well-being and the health and well-being of their fellow citizens of all ages. And whereas the Goddard Senior Center has been a community partner, ensuring that older adults in our community are able to stay connected, safe, and healthy. And whereas the Senior Center of Goddard, Kansas affirms the dignity, self-worth, independence of older persons by facilitating their decisions and actions, tapping into their experiences, skills, and knowledge, and enabling their continued contributions to the community. Now whereas I, Mayor George Lee, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as National Senior Center Month and call upon all the citizens of our community to recognize the special contributions of Senior Center participants and their special efforts of the staff and volunteers who work every day to enhance the well-being of the older citizens of our community. And I will sign that on this 16th day of September 2024.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Council. Craig Crossett, your City Administrator here. Excitingly to present F2, your consideration to consent to Mayor Leaves' appointment Becky Cole to the Goddard Public Library Board. I do believe Becky's with us this evening. Is there anything you'd like to share with the council before they consider your appointment?
I'm excited to take on this new journey. It's not something I've done before, but I'm ready.
Floor is yours, Mayor.
There was some talk of you providing free drinks for us for like the next 5 months. Actually, I said 6, but then they said you're kind of closed from October through September, so we'll just dispense with that. But I would entertain a motion to approve Becky's appointment to the Public Library Board.
Make a motion.
I second.
Aubrey makes the motion, Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Just like that, you're in. Thank you for being willing to serve in that capacity. I think we have a wonderful library, and we just expect continued great things across the street, so thank you. Moving on, consent agenda. I'd seek a motion to approve the consent agenda. Very good. I'll just make the motion myself. I move that we approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
I second.
Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have no unfinished business. Looks like we're on to new business. Speaking of the librarian, our head librarian, Terry Wharton, gets to give a library update. We're so excited.
All right, good evening, and Honorable Mayor and City Council. This is our third quarter report. So our third quarter accomplishments included hired a second part-time library clerk, our summer reading program, which was probably our biggest accomplishment that took up most of our summer. We did add a second story time. We have a new Lego club, QuickBooks migration, our Friends and Foundation book sale, Kansas notable book grants, book bundles, and our DEI training. Just a little bit in review, our summer reading kickoff on June 3rd and ended on August 1st. The library was very busy with a constant flow of traffic. The staff did a great job of accommodating the busy flow of the library and many programs offered this summer. We added a second story time on Tuesdays down in the park and a new Lego club. Both of these will continue during the school year. Here's just some of our numbers for our summer reading program. Kickoff party had 426 in attendance. Our participation, 1,118 signed up for our program. About 571 completed that program. That means they read at 800 minutes or over. And for our younger kiddos, that means they read about 50 books. That doesn't mean that kids were not reading. That just means that they completed that program, but we had a lot that got close to their goal. Minutes that were read were 645,812. Books that were read were 15,095. We checked out, just for those 2 months, we checked out 13,558 materials. We added 332 patrons. Materials that we added to our system were 253. We offered 18 story times, and the attendance total for that was 446. Child, family, adult program, we offered a total of 24 programs. The attendance for that was 1,538. Teen program, we offered a total of 4 programs, and the attendance for that was 44. Book clubs, we offered a total of 7 book clubs, and that was a total of 61. Those book clubs also include at Dove Estates as well. Our end of summer reading program, it was a hot day, but we still had 86 there for that. So great summer reading program, great part of the community, so it was a good time. The migration from the desktop version of QuickBooks to the online version has been completed and is going well. The Friends and Foundation held their book sale on June 9th during the Main Street Market. I think that paired well with the Main Street Market. They had a great turnout and raised over $300. The next one will be during Fall Fest. New in the library, we purchased the 2024 Kansas Notable Books with grant funding. Kansas Notable Books are books written by Kansas or about Kansas. There is a great selection this year. We added book bundles for checkout. Each book bundle has hand-selected books with a certain theme. The theme for our first book bundle is Back to School, featuring picture books and children's books, but keep an eye out for more themes and genres to come. The board and staff received training on DEI practices and principles for Pamela King Burns through the PKB Ventures on August 28th. Each participant received an individual debriefing session to go over their survey results. Looking ahead to the fourth quarter, still finalizing the new signage for the front of our building, medical equipment storage, finalizing our website update, Ballet in the Park, which is this Saturday, down in the park at 3 p.m. The ballerinas actually came to Storytime today and did a little demonstration. It was fun. Can Read, which is our partnership with all the other libraries in our system. Fall Festival book sale. We have a new Baby in Need class, and we will be closed on October 14th for staff training day. We're actually headed to Newton, to the Newton Public Library, to check that out and do some training there as well. And here's just a couple of pictures from this summer. The first one is Storytime down in the park. The second one is just a little cutie with her Lego creation during our Lego Club, and the last one is one of our programs this summer. So that's where we're at. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Public Works Director? No? Oh,
Community Development Director.
Community Development Director, okay. Micah Scoggins, I know your name.
Our Mayor and City Council, this is item I too. I'm going to try to do both of these simultaneously, so this is managing the live stream real quick. But quick background, Lee Ellis has asked the governing body to consider allowing a street closure for Main Street for Friday, October 18th from 6 to 8 p.m. The event, will actually, I should say, backtrack 5 o'clock. Actually, it's Lee Ellis, 5:30 to 8 p.m. The event would be for a trunk or treat with amplified sound, which requires a sound waiver to be approved by the governing body per Chapter 11, Article 13 of the City Code. The event is sponsored by Society of Child Entrepreneurs. The mission is stated as follows: we aim to empower children by teaching them entrepreneurial leadership and financial literacy skills through starting and managing their own businesses. And it'd be $25 for businesses to sponsor a car and $50 for nonprofits to sponsor a car. They would like to ask for a rain date of October 20th, which is a Sunday, from 5 to 7 p.m. for consideration as well, in case they get rained down on the 18th. Oh, that's not crazy. I don't know that one there. So, Everyone, please focus. Not the time. So, current regulations are found in the City Goddard Code, Chapter 11, Article 13. Sound applications in Chapter 13-209 for regarding the street closure. This is a map, so they're going to keep east and westbound of Santa Fe open, east and westbound of Second. They're going to close first. So I presented this to Public Works Director Brooke Vandenberg and Lance Weegley's police chief, and so they don't have any comments or concerns at this time, but feel free to ask them in attendance. There is small publication cost. Legal is approved as form. It is recommended that you waive the reading of the ordinance, especially for the sound waiver, and approve the waiver of the sound ordinance with the trunk or treat and approve the road closure application simultaneously before it's supposed to roll call. Is there any questions related to this? We do have Lee Ellis here as well.
Albert, any questions? Or?
No, sir, I'm good.
Brent said no. Krista, no. I'll make a motion that we waive the reading of the ordinance. And Tom?
I second.
Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's been approved.
These mics are loud tonight.
They cranked it up so they could hear us
There's
at
some
home.
reverb on there, so it will sound cool.
We're just accommodating everybody as much as possible, especially those who are viewing from online.
I'll seek a motion to approve the,
I make the motion to approve the waiver for the sound ordinance for the trunk or treat and approve the road closure application.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Trailer,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins,
Yes.
ordinance number 976.
976, thank you very much. I should mention as well, it is the responsibility of the applicant to notify all property owners 10 days before the event, so it is their responsibility to notify any businesses that may be impacted by the street closure 10 days before the event, so thank you very much.
Bond council's here.
Good evening.
Yeah, you can pull it out of there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brett, you're fine.
Give it a yank.
Well, I'm gonna leave it there, so I might need two hands here. Good evening, Mr. Mayor,
ladies and gentlemen of the council. Brett Sjogren, Stiefel Nicholas and Company. This is, you've been through this many times before. This is the specials development process after the projects are completed. This is for Cloverleaf Farms, Phase 2, Phase 3, and Harbor Creek, Phase 2. This is the general obligation bond ordinance and resolution, Series 2024-B. In years 2021 and 22, City Council issued general obligation temporary notes. Those are Series 2021-2, 21-3, and 22-1 to provide interim finance for Cloverleaf Farms Edition, Phase 2, Phase 3, Harbor Creek Edition, Phase 2 projects. These projects are now complete, ready to be converted into permanent finance. On July 1st, 2024, City Council accepted the final costs, the assessment rolls, and scheduled a public hearing related to the special assessments for those projects. On July 15th, the City Council conducted the public hearing and passed the ordinance levying the special assessments, adopted a resolution authorizing the sale of general obligation bonds for permanent finance for those projects. The size of the issue was estimated at $1,980,000 with an estimated 4.25% estimated interest cost. Property owners were notified of the public hearing and the assessments that were given until August 14th to prepay any or all of their assessments on their property. There were no prepayments recorded by the city clerk, and as a result, all of the costs will be spread amongst the property owners to be paid back over 20 annual installments with interest beginning in tax year 2026. With approval at the July 15th meeting, we developed a preliminary official statement with submitted such and supporting documents to S&P Global, the rating agency you have a relationship with, to solicit an underlying credit rating. After review and analysis, S&P Global assigned a AA- stable rating to the bonds, which is an excellent rating, and it's the rating you have on your other debt as well. So they reaffirmed that for all of your rated bond issues. On September 10th, 2024, we held an order period until 10 o'clock that morning, successfully marketed the bonds at a true interest cost of 3.90%, much lower than the 4.25% we estimated. Due to the lower interest cost and premium generated during the sale, we were able to lower the amount of the issue from $1,980,000 to $1,905,000 to save for their interest cost. The city has unexpended note proceeds totaling $423,000 and change due to the total project costs coming in below the estimates and petition amounts. And we're using that to reduce the size of the bond issue. That's what brought the size down. With the bond proceeds, unexpended note proceeds, and the issue premium, the proceeds are sufficient to pay off the temporary notes, provide the capitalized interest to make the 2025 payment, since we're past the point of budgeting for next tax season. We capitalize that interest and pay all cost of issuance. Bond issue scheduled to close on October 1st. On that date, adequate funds will be sent to the State Treasurer's Office, which is the paying agent, to retire the temporary notes. And then before August 25th of next year, calculations for the 20-year special assessments with interest will be submitted, will be provided to your city clerk and submitted to Sedgwick County to be included in the tax statements beginning December of 25. Financially, there is a small publication cost related to the bond ordinance. All cost of issuance will be paid for with bond proceeds and will be specially assessed to property owners in the improvement district. The bond payments will be paid for via special assessments from the bond payments. The bond ordinance and supporting documents are authorized by Bond Sale Resolution 24-27 and KSA 12-6A01 et sec, the special assessment statute. Bond resolutions authorized by the bond ordinance, and both have been drafted by your bond counsel, Kevin Cowan of Gilmore and Bell, and have been reviewed by myself and your city attorney, Ryan Peck. It is your staff's recommendation to waive the reading of the ordinance, voice vote, adopt the bond ordinance authorizing and providing for the issuance of general obligation bonds series 2024-B of the city of Gutter, Kansas, which is a roll call vote, and then adopt the bond resolution prescribing the form and details of and authorizing the directing and sale and delivery of general obligation bonds, Series 2024-B of the city of Goddard, Kansas. And I'll read. Any questions I can answer for you regarding this process?
Krista, you good?
I'm good.
Aubrey's good?
I'm good.
We've done this a couple times.
More than a couple.
That's true.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the reading of the ordinance.
Prince made a motion to waive the reading of the ordinance. Krista second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That carries. Keep going.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a bond resolution describing the form details and authorizing the direct sale of the delivery of the general obligation bond, Series 2024-B to the city of Goddard, Kansas.
Excuse me, Mr. Trailer, I think you need to adopt the bond ordinance.
Oh, there.
Adopt the bond.
You waive the reading, now you have to adopt the bond.
Next one up.
Oh, we need to adopt the bond ordinance.
There you go.
I second.
I thought we already did that.
Okay, Brenda's made the motion to adopt the bond ordinance, authorizing provision of issuance of the general obligation bonds, here over B, and Krista second. All those in favor, say we have voice, roll call, please.
Voice.
Voice call.
Councilmember Hall,
Yes.
Mayor Lee,
Yes.
Councilmember Trailer,
Yes.
Councilmember Collins.
Yes.
That will be ordinance number 977.
That ordinance carries. We act like we've never done that before. Let's move on. Now, next one there.
You know, and what I just said a minute ago?
That.
That.
Okay. Prince made the motion for that. Adopting the resolution to prescribe the form detail.
I'll second that.
Aubrey seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution number 2403,
Very good. Thank you.
2443, I'm sorry.
Okay.
On to the next
Four,
one.
I'm up too, up as well. That was when projects are completed, this is when projects are just getting started. This is 167th West Edition, Phase 1, General Obligation Temporary Notes, Sale Results, and Note Resolution 2024-4. Some background, on August 5th of 24, the City Council accepted petitions and adopted resolutions to authorize infrastructure projects related to 167th West Phase 1. This is step one of the interim finance process. We went through this at the last meeting, but the projects are described right there. Total project cost of $6,435,000. Those are the petition amounts. Those are excluding finance and interest costs. On August 19th, the City Council adopted a resolution authorizing the sale of general obligation temporary notes 2024-4 in an estimated par amount of $7,380,000 on September 16th, 24, which is today, to provide interim finance to fund the 167th West Edition Phase 1 projects. This is Phase 2 of the interim finance process. With that approval, we developed a preliminary official statement and submitted such to S&P Global, just like we did with the bonds. After review and analysis, S&P assigned an SP1 rating to the notes. They have a separate rating scale for temporary finance, and SP1 Plus is the best rating you can achieve on temporary finance. And that is taking into account of your AA minus rating, but also you have the authority to issue general obligation bonds to pay these off, so it makes it very secure. And SP1 rating is, as I said, the best rating you can achieve, which gets you the lowest finance cost. This morning at 10 a.m. we opened the bids, evaluated them for accuracy. We received 2 bids. The cover bid was from Loop Capital Markets at a true interest cost, which is right here at 3.560511%. And Robert W. Barrett and Company provided the best bid at a true interest cost of 3.265588%. Due to the interest rate being lower than estimated, less capitalized interest would be required, and we were able to downsize the issue from $7,380,000 down to $7,195,000. This lower size will lower the overall cost, but will fully fund the project petition amounts, capitalized interest, cost of issuance, as well as provide an added project contingency of $70,495,000 in case of cost overruns or any unsuspected costs If it's not being used, it'll be used as unspent note proceeds when we issue bonds.
You say 70 million?
70,000.
Did I say 70 million?
Yes, you did.
70,000.
Don't want to create no panic.
Sorry about that. It'd be a nice problem to have. $70,495. I apologize for that. It is recommended that the city council accept the best bid from Robert W. Baird & Company at a true interest cost of 3.265588% and adopt a note resolution to finalize the sale. Once approved, we'll work with bond counsel to prepare the transcript and order the notes printed for the Attorney General's office to approve. The note issue is scheduled to close on October 8th, which is when funds will be available for the project. This would be the third and final action to be taken by the City Council for the interim finance. Just to refresh your memory, once the projects are completed, notes are near maturity, which is 12/1 of 27. Final cost will be calculated and 100% of the cost will be assessed, with the exception of the cost of the 12-inch water pipe for the water main improvements, which is the cost for upsizing that pipe. And the improvement district will be assessed 71.76% and the city at large 28.24% to plan for future development. Before the permanent bonds are sold, property owners will have an opportunity to prepay any or all their assessment. Any amount not prepaid will be financed through general obligation bonds, and the payment is scheduled to be collected with special assessment taxes over 20 installments. Financially, cost of issuance will be paid for with note proceeds and eventually be assessed to the property owners at completion via general obligation bonds. Semi-annual interest payments will be paid with capitalized interest, also from note proceeds. Included within the financing, it will be specially assessed to property owners. Legally, the note sale, the note resolution, and the supporting documents are authorized by the note sale resolution 24-36 and special assessment statute KSA 12-6801 et sec. And have been drafted by bond counsel Kevin Cowan, Gilmore and Bell, and reviewed by myself and City Attorney Ryan Peck. Your staff's recommendation is to accept the best bid from Robert W. Baird & Company, which is the purchaser providing the lowest true interest cost, voice vote, and adopt the note resolution authorizing and directing the issuance, sale, and delivery of general obligation temporary notes 2024-4. I'd be happy to stay for any questions you may have on this process. And I apologize, there's a lot of paperwork to sign. Sorry. Mostly for the mayor.
I'm retired or anything else to do, so I mean, it's easy. No questions? Brent, Albert, you guys have any questions?
Not at all.
Is anybody, okay. I was gonna say, has anybody ever prepaid those?
Every once in a while, we'll get some prepayment, sometimes a partial, sometimes a full. And it just, you know, if you do that, it lowers your mortgage payment. Sometimes we do get prepayments, but we didn't get any this time.
Okay, very good.
I was just gonna make a motion to accept the best bid from Robert Baird & Company, the purchaser providing the lowest truest interest cost.
Second.
Krista makes a motion. Brent seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Resolution number 2444.
Okay, one more.
And I make a motion to adopt the note resolution authorizing and directing the issuance, sale, and delivery of general obligation temporary notes series 2024-4.
Krista makes a motion. I will second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Thank you very much.
Brent, thank you. Administrator of the City of Goddard, Ryan Schreck, is back at the plate.
Yes, good evening once again. Very excited to make this presentation to you tonight. Much like the monument signs that you recently approved, we are continuing to make improvements to the community through wayfinding signs. So as you'll recall, earlier in the year, this was one of the goals that was set forth between city staff and city council. Create new wayfinding signs to be located strategically throughout the community. So an RFP was approved by you, the council, earlier, and we solicited bids to create 14 new wayfinding signs. As you know, we don't have any wayfinding signs in the community right now. And so these will be used to help direct people to our downtown, to the library, to the community center, to the Genesis Sports Complex, and really enhance the thousands and thousands of visitors' experience that visit our community every year on an annual basis. Again, this is the map showing the proposed locations of the 14 signs. You'll see most of these are located at strategic intersections throughout the community, both north and south of Kellogg. And these are the bids in which we received earlier. As you'll see, we had two companies submit bids, Luminous Neon and Miracle Signs. I would like to recognize that we do have representatives from both of those companies with us this evening. So as we're going through these, if you do have any more technical questions, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to answer those as we're going through this presentation. But again, Luminous Neon did submit 2 designs, and Miracle Signs submitted 3 designs. And it will be our recommendation that we go with, again, Miracle Signs design number 3. And so these are, and all of this is in the agenda packet, but these are the renderings that were put together. This is design 1 from Luminous Neon, and then design 2. And then for Miracle Signs, this is their design 1, their design 2. You can see these are different sizes, and then design 3. Going into detail, the reason why we are recommending this design to be selected for our 14 wayfinding signs is that they are proposing, along with the design that we do like, is you'll see on the left side of the screen, these are larger signs. The proposal is that we would purchase 4 of these larger ones to be located along Kellogg, obviously a very busy highway, and in order to see better and provide, they're both anchored by 2 posts as well. That these 4 would be larger along the city's main thoroughfare of Kellogg, and then 10 smaller signs placed at the the arterial intersections that are farther away from Kellogg. Again, we are recommending design 3, so the total cost being $75,707.86. Much like the monument signs, we are recommending a 15% contingency to cover any unseen expenses as we're going through the final design, the construction, and then the installation phases of this project. Again, all of this will be done by Miracle Signs, much like Luminous Neon is taking care of the monument signs for us. There will be a 50% down payment. You can see that number there. Funding for these 14 monument signs, it will come from the general fund under capital outlay project discretionary fund. The down payment, of course, will be made now, pending, of course, approval by City Council this evening. Once we have approval, we'll sign contracts, submit the 50% down payment to Miracle Signs, and then proceed with final design, actual final location, and then fabrication and construction and installation. No legal considerations tonight. But again, it is the recommendation, as you see before you tonight, that we adopt design number 3, with a total budgetary spending authorization not to exceed $87,064.04. Again, I'm more than happy to answer any questions council may have regarding these designs, but we do have Miracle Signs and Luminous Neon with us this evening to answer any more technical questions that you may have regarding this very exciting project.
Right, I just wanted to add one thing. We'll get a final proof. There's a couple of spelling things that we need to work out.
Right. These were just renderings, examples.
So we'll get a final proof that we'll look at about 1,000 times, and we'll have about 3 or 4 people check them. That way we make sure that everything's spelled correctly.
Yes. And the arrows are turned the right way.
Correct. sitting in a room with a lot of folks that are here for the senior center. I noticed we just have community center there, so we might massage that a little bit to make sure that we're denoting where the senior center's at, of course. So there'll be a couple little tweaks like that we can make during the process when we get the final proof, so to speak.
Questions from the bench up here, Aubrey?
Will these be illuminated?
So these are going to be reflective. So they're not going to be illuminated, but they're going to be made of a reflective material that you can see at night.
Brent, you have any questions?
Not at all.
Okay. Krista? I don't have any questions at this point. I'd seek a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I'll makes a motion to approve Miracle Signs Design number 3.
Second.
Brent seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm up again. Good evening again. We are moving on to Senior Center funding for 2025. Before we dive into the staff report and the presentation, I would also like to add my thanks to Amanda and Karen and everyone that's really spearheaded this grassroots movement in getting the Senior Center going. I've been here for 3 months, and what I've learned of what has transpired in the time before I arrived between the Senior Center as well as the Senior Meals Program is just phenomenal. And it's very exciting to be a part of that and to see the community really come together in addressing these needs and really enhancing the quality of life in our community through both the Senior Meals Program and the Senior Center as well. With that, again, just going back a couple months ago, as you'll recall, we did review the annual grant to the Sedgwick County Department of Aging and Disabilities, or regarding the funding request for 2025. The Senior Center through the city had requested $18,000, and as you know, we did recently learn that for 2025, that allocation from Sedgwick County is going to be $6,000 rather than the $18,000. Previously, well, let's see, yeah, I'll stay on this one. City Council back in June had agreed and voted to allocate $28,000 in the 2025 budget to the Goddard Senior Center, with the understanding that if awarded the $18,000, that would be reimbursed back to the city. But now, of course, we know that that's $6,000. Again, one of the, some reasons for that increase in funding, active membership, and along with, so that this number's out of date, now it's 242, not 226, but 242 active members. They, again, Goddard Senior Center believes that they could have north of 350 members by the end of this calendar year. Of course, with an increase in active members, they also are having an increase in active programs and services and activities that are offered to Goddard senior population. One of their goals is, again, that they will hire a part-time director to start at the beginning of 2025. Initially, the grant was going, that $18,000 was going to help pay the salary of that person, and just based on the activities and the membership of what's happening right now, Amanda does believe that that they would be functioning at the Senior Center Level 2 requirement. This funding amount, if they were awarded that from Sedgwick County, would be $35,000. So again, we are looking at an increase, again, this is just some of their peer communities here in Sedgwick County. This was their local funding allocation for this year for 2024. You see Bel Air, Clearwater, Hayesville, Park City, and Valley Center. Those are just a few of the examples of other communities that are functioning similar or at the same level as Goddard Senior Center, and this is their financial contribution, as well as these communities receiving funding from Sedgwick County as well. So again, just to recap, back in June, it was originally approved. $20,000 has already been approved by you as City Council, just to know where you stand right now, with an understanding that the $18,000 was going to be reimbursed to the Goddard Senior Center. Just as a reminder, that line item is part of the general fund of the city's budget. And so for this evening, we do have 2 recommendations. The first recommendation is, again, is to allocate that $20,000 with the understanding that the city is going to cover that difference between the $18,000 and the $6,000, along with looking to renovate the North Storage closet into office space for the part-time director. This renovation, just so you're aware, we are looking at getting quotes if this is a viable option in terms of how much that will cost, but would renovate that room and allow that to be used as occupiable office space by the part-time director. Alternatively, we are looking at, and we are, staff decided that based on Amanda's presentation earlier this evening, we would change this number to 46 instead of 45, but $45,000 to go towards the Goddard Senior Center, again for 2025. And then also, as part of that, pursue a lease agreement for office space for the Goddard Senior Center part-time director, again to be paid out of that $46,000 allocation. I know that there have been discussions about leasing the building to the north of the community center. Just wanted to provide a very brief update because staff do have concerns about leasing space, looking at that ongoing cost. I know that that building has been considered. I did want to share with council this evening that Sedgwick County, a building inspector from MABCD, was here on Friday and did issue a stop work order. That building is down to its studs without appropriate permits and plans. So that work has ceased on that building, that remodel that would be potentially used as space for the Goddard Senior Center. That was under consideration. Now that's not to say that it can't still happen, but staff does have some strong concerns about whether or not that project, that renovation project, is going to move forward, as there could be potentially considerable amount of money that needs to be spent on acquiring the necessary permits, on hiring the appropriately licensed contractors in order to do that work, as that is deemed a commercial space. And so we need to make sure that we're meeting those commercial building standards, regulations, ADA, making sure that everything is compliant with commercial building code set forth by Sedgwick County and that we've adopted as the city of Goddard. So I just want to make sure the council was aware of that building. Of course, there probably are other spaces, but I know that we are aware and cognizant that that space has been discussed between the seniors and members of the governing body. Stand for any questions. I know that Amanda already spoke during the public forum, but if she has anything to add, I think staff would feel comfortable with her addressing the council again for a few additional minutes if she wishes.
Thank you. I too was briefed on the update on Mr. Calvin's building. He did call me personally today to give me the update of what was happening. He did assure me he's still in full support of us renting the facility and has agreed to follow all proper permitting guidelines, including rewiring the building per commercial guidelines. He did let me know that does extend the project out to the 1st of January 2025, which is fine because our funding doesn't even begin until 2025. So it just delays the time that we can get in there, but he is completely on board to following all permitting and guidelines to make sure that he can continue to support our efforts. And he knows the reason that we're needing it and the cause that we're trying to fill. So I just want to give you that update, that I did have a personal conversation with him, that he's fully on board to meeting all requirements and finishing that project, but it is going to be delayed until January 2025, which we're fine with. The other thing I want to do that I forgot to do is to personally invite you guys all to Thursday's ribbon cutting and grand opening. So I would love for you guys all to be there. We would love to have the city of Goddard have possibly a vendor booth or table, so kind of meet your elected officials, and hopefully if our county commissioner joins us, he can sit at the table and our seniors can also meet him too for our district. So, my biggest thing is just is allowing for the growth. We had over almost I think 20 people in senior exercise today. I did snap a picture. Active Age was here to do their article and they snapped a picture too. And I don't think you can get any more chairs in that circle. So we do need to start exploring additional space. You know, we've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time working on partnerships with Genesis and other locations, so that way we can be very frugal with the funds that we do get, and very creative with the spacing. So we are looking at other alternatives as well, just to kind of make do with what we've got. I appreciate the two options. Personally, the office space is not the only issue that we're experiencing, which is why I don't feel the first option fits our needs and why I'm more in support of the second option, because that does allow us to have some additional storage, be able to place things on the wall for our resource center that we're required to do per our grant requirements, as well as having the space. But also, with working with a shared space, which we're very grateful to have, we have noticed that a lot of our seniors that are still working, that are 55 and still working, that they have not been able to attend any of the activities, and we're limited on those weekend and evening hours due to our agreement on the use of the community center. So this funding will allow us to explore some other options and kind of change some of that scheduling around to where we can offer some more additional options and not have to tear down every single time and, that we do an activity, because it's a lot of work for our seniors, because we're the ones that pulling the tables out and putting them up and down and maneuvering that, so, I'm open to any questions that you guys have for our request.
Mayor, could I add one point here?
Sure. You may.
So on this second, or the alternate action as it's presented up there, we kind of left it open-ended, says pursue a lease agreement. There's probably differing levels of confidence between staff and some of the advocates as to whether the particular desired space will be available by January 25. So we wanted to leave that open-ended in case January rolls around and the space isn't available. Maybe there's another space. I know the building the chamber's in, maybe they'd let us go month to month until that desired building is capable of being inhabited, so to speak. So I just want to make a note of that alternate action is purposely left open-ended. That way we can look at other rental opportunities in town for the part-time director should the building north of the community center not be ready by January. That's all.
And you have my commitment. As you can see, I've worked a lot of partnerships out free at no cost, working through donation, partnering with the Kansas Lions Foundation on very low cost for stamps, very low cost for printing. So I'm being very frugal with the funds that we do have available. So you have my commitment to make sure that any funds that is allocated will be used the best way appropriately, and to continue to work with our city council and staff to make sure those funds are put to good use and demonstrates way more value than they ever have before. So I will use those funds very, very sparingly.
So y'all been meeting for what, 2 months now?
So really within about 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, March. Yeah, we've accomplished all of this since March.
Chief, have they been, how many times have you been called over because
It's pretty rowdy.
are they pretty rowdy?
One of his officers had to get a snake out of our.
I would like to make a point that I love how our city staff and city council is in full support of the senior center in the sense of getting engaged with all of our seniors. And I mean, those that have attended, you could see that we're a really fun group. So Brick Brandenburg came to see his application tonight. So he just turned 55 and is now a member of the Goddard Senior Center. So we are excited to welcome him. But that being an example of Brooke works very hard. He works during the day. So unless we have the option to provide some evening and weekend activities, he will not be able to attend unless you give him a longer lunch break.
You're gonna get a lunch break?
I just see we're gonna have to do a permanent sound waiver ordinance for these guys.
Our cardio drum ball was a pretty great class. We had our first one, so
Any comments? You're soon to be potential member?
Yeah, 3 years.
we do take all members. We don't turn anybody away. We just only track 55 and older for our grant purposes. But everyone's welcome.
Yes.
We're gonna try to wait on that.
Some of
You
us
don't know what
might
you're
wait.
missing.
Krista, do you have any comments?
I am very excited to see what you all are doing, and I love that you're advocating for yourselves in this. It's a testament, and for somebody who's not far away from joining you, I think it's very exciting what is happening in our community. So thank you for taking the initiative and advocating for yourselves. It speaks.
Okay, recommendation 1 or 2?
No one else?
Anyone else?
I just wanna learn more about these poker tournaments you were talking about earlier. I got 3 years and then we'll look at it. I'd like to make a motion to go with alternate action number 2.
Alright, so
And that is 46 instead of 45.
Right, 46.
I thought that was like 47.
No, it says 45, but we're going with 46.
He's trying to already bid for the chairman of the board activity when he gets there.
Mayor, if you don't mind, we'd like to have the specific motion read, just that way there's
So we get it
clarity.
right, sure.
Clarity for all involved.
Make a motion to do alternate action number 2 to allocate a total of $46,000 in funding towards the Goddard Senior Center fiscal year 25 programming to cover Sedgwick County's underfunded grant contribution, thank you guys, and pursue a lease agreement for office space for the you know what I'm trying to say, part-time director to be paid for the $46,000 allocation. Is that what you wanted?
I'll entertain the motion. and
I second.
Krista seconds. Any discussion, any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will say this, you're welcome. Sedgwick County is in the process of reevaluating how they disperse funding for the different programs. And I think that hopefully next year, with the continued effort here, that they'll be well aware of what's happening out here in Goddard, and we'll receive maybe a little higher portion in terms of funding. I know County Commissioner Dennis had indicated that there's a disproportionate number of dollars that are spent in the other districts, and I don't know what they're going to do to try to, equalize that. But their funding issues are just like ours in terms of limited resources, and everyone has good programs. But hopefully we won't be penalized for the fact that we haven't had a long-running senior program, and they'll look at the stats and the data from this next year, and we'll receive an appropriate amount from them going forward. So I just wanted to mention that. That's something I think they're aware of. I think they know what's going on in there in Goddard with our senior center and a lot of other things as well. Moving right along then. City planner, Tina Powell.
Stormwater project, city staff has compiled an extensive study and collection of historical data regarding stormwater drainage deficiencies within our stormwater system, potentially due to deferred maintenance and as a result of erosion over time, and compiled the findings into a drainage memo that I believe you guys had access to in your agenda packets if you were so inclined to read. City staff have developed a plan to first clean out the system and restore it to ensure proper drainage before attempting any redesign or reconstruction. With the help of our city engineer, Harlan Forford, we've developed a plan set and scope of work to focus on location C, which is the drainage channel improvements within Prairie Village commercial addition and along the South 54-500 frontage road. And you may be asking yourself, where is that? That is behind the dentist office up on the South frontage road. Contractors have been consulted and 3 bids have been solicited for this work. That's just a snapshot of the drainage memo with different hotspot locations that we've identified. And this is, I guess I have a video on this. This is basically the area we are going to focus on for location C. That's the dentist office there. So what you might not know is that this is kind of a major outfall area within the city. There's 3 about 42-inch culverts back here that deposit most of downtown stormwater into this dry pond, and then it flows along this creek here channel and then heads north. This is kind of the state that it's in now. You can see that there has been some erosion and settlement over time, a lot of vegetation and growth. This is Cindy Street heading north. We're intending to open up this flow path here and then clean out this creek. This is a snapshot of the cover sheet of the plan set. So our analysis is the stormwater drainage project is a critical infrastructure initiative aimed at improving stormwater management within our community. Water can cause a lot of problems if left unaddressed, and also when it freezes. To ensure cost effectiveness and competitiveness, we have solicited 3 bids from contractors for the project. McPherson Backhoe Incorporated,
a private contractor, Chad Mills, and Below Grade Excavation. The bids are there. First NBI 30,400, Chad Mills 32,955, Below Grade Excavation with a bid of 32,820. And we've also asked for an add alternate riprap in case we would like to add additional protection and then to reduce erosion with some rock. To account for any unforeseen costs or necessary adjustments, we propose a 15% contingency fee. This brings the total project cost of the lowest bid to $34,960. This project will be fully funded from Fund 90, Capital Improvement Fund, which is designated for essential infrastructure projects. These costs will be allocated to the 2024 budget, ensuring the necessary financial planning and resources are in place without impacting the current year's financial operations. Legal is approved as the coroner, and it is recommended to approve the lowest bidder for the project and begin work to remediate the drainage deficiency identified. Any questions?
When was the last time any work was done on that area?
Before I was here, it's been forever and ever.
Years.
You see the tree growing out of that culvert?
Yeah, you can kind of identify how.
Curious. It was growing on top of it.
Yeah, and most of the trees in these areas are 12 inches or like 8 to 12 inches.
So they can do rock on the sides, or doesn't?
What our basic design premise is a 6-foot straight or flat bottom ditch, 3-to-1 slope on the side, and then probably at the corners we'll put some rock. Basic design concept.
Does that come with that tree removal?
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna
but it's
clear out all
got
the
that in
trees and the growth.
You should go back to that picture. Yeah, that one right there, that tree right there.
Yeah, the one on top, yeah, right there.
That's been there, isn't it?
And the funny thing is there is another outfall over here that's completely overgrown. There's 2 right next to each other, and then the third one that comes out, which actually these 2 are the ones that kind of take the flow.
Mary, and I would just add, along with Tina's comments, you know, the deferred maintenance wasn't because we didn't want to go out there and do it. It was because we're unwilling to fund these kinds of things. We've never had stormwater revenue accounts set up. Now we have a fee. We're collecting it on the monthly bill, plus when every time a new builder buys a permit to build a home or a duplex or an apartment or whatever in Goddard, they're contributing $200 that goes into a fund account that'll pay for stuff like this. So I just want to make sure that the folks listening and that are here tonight understand that this maintenance wasn't deferred because of any malfeasance or anything like that. It was simply an unwillingness to establish and assess the amount of revenue necessary to be able to pay for these kinds of things. That's all.
That's the truth.
Infrastructure, not just roads.
Well, any other comments, Krista? Aubrey, anything else you want to say?
I was just trying to figure out how many trees you got planted, after you cut all those down.
I've got some growing in my yard in different places that are about this tall.
They might want to excavate it, because there's probably some treasures buried in there somewhere.
You can go through with your metal detector. They won't do anything for that. So. I entertain a motion to approve this.
I make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Krista motions, Brent seconds. Approving the lowest bid on the project along with 15% contingency. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 8.
That rowdy senior bunch, they got what they wanted and they all
They don't really that funny. I'm still there.
Chief, you better keep an eye on
We'll talk about increased staffing because of them later on.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is item I-8, dwelling two-family draft resolution. So, as the city grows, discussions around duplexes and new developments has come up on multiple occasions. City Council and Planning Commission did meet collectively on July 8th to discuss growth and development. On July 15th, City Council expressed a desire to see a proposal to limit or modify the number and type of duplexes being introduced into the city limits. On September 3rd, City staff presented a draft resolution which included limiting the number of duplexes in the future given a specific dwelling unit ratio. The governing body voted 3-2 by a simple majority to direct staff to modify the resolution to define it as a moratorium. City staff have drafted a resolution outlining what they believe are the desires of the City Council. This agenda item is to review the proposed resolution and to receive feedback to modify it for proposed adoption. City Council is reviewing a draft outline for a resolution enacting a moratorium on duplexes for the future as well as design standards for twin homes in the future. Moratorium is defined below, and you can see here that we're talking about suspension of activity. I'm going to read verbatim from the resolution, but feel free to stop me and ask me any questions at any time. It is attached as an exhibit in the agenda item. So the City Council, the city desires to enact a resolution for a moratorium on all two-family dwellings, hereinafter referred to as duplexes, exclusive of two-family attached dwellings, hereinafter referred to as twin homes. City Council would also like to enact a resolution to include design standards on twin homes. The city defines a duplex in Article 2.102 as a two-family dwelling. A dwelling attached shall be referred to as a twin home under Article 2.102. The city recognizes duplexes having 2 dwelling units and no more or less than 2. The city recognizes twin homes as having 2 units and no more or less than 2. The distinction shall be made on the recording of a lot split or plat as defined under Article 2.102. The governing body of the city has determined that they would like to stop the introduction of duplexes into the corporate city limits in the future. This resolution should not be applied to existing developments or those developments that have begun the entitlement process. The governing body has also determined that they would desire to have development standards on the introduction of twin homes. The city has outlined parameters for the moratorium below, which they believe are in line with the desires and wishes of the governing body. The city has outlined the design standards requirements below, which they believe are in line with the desires and wishes of the governing body. Therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the City of Goddard, Kansas, that the moratorium on duplexes under Section 1, that the city shall not issue any additional building permits for duplexes in the future under the resolution, nor shall the city bring any plats or plat or rezoning before the City Council which introduces duplexes as defined above, nor shall they bring any conditional use permits before the Planning Commission which would allow for the construction of a duplex. The exception shall be any development that has already been approved in the past or has started the entitlement process should not be restricted by this resolution, nor shall it apply to any existing duplexes which are in existence lawfully and wish to remodel or to be rebuilt due to damage or improvements. Section 3, the moratorium timeline. The moratorium shall run for 48 months commencing from the time of adoption. Adoption shall be if approved by the resolution itself. Section 4 shall be design standards requirements for twin homes. All future developments desiring to introduce a twin home shall submit an overlay district application and outline in the application of the twin homes within the development shall have the following layout as proposed. A twin home shall have a minimum of 3 bedrooms per side. A twin home shall have a minimum of 1,300 square feet per side. A twin home shall have a masonry wainscoting on the front and side of the home, exclusive of the back. Section 5 shall be exceptions. Any existing twin home shall be exempt from these requirements, or any twin home desiring to remodel or rebuild, or any existing duplex wishing to split the lot creating a twin home may do so without invoking the requirements of this resolution. Effective date shall be a resolution shall be effective upon adoption if decided by the governing body. Financially not legally disproved as a form by Robert Burke and Morris Lane. It is recommended that City Council review the resolution as presented and direct staff accordingly. Feel free to deliberate and ask any questions.
I guess the first question is, we in general have this unwritten limit of 60-40 duplex units to single-family residences. And, we've kind of discussed the fact that really a duplex is really 2 residences. So in terms of the mix, a 60-40 split on anything really isn't really accurate, because you're building actually more duplexes in your more duplex living units in your single family living units. We're in a situation where with what's platted, we've got 420 duplexes platted, which is 840 units along with 15 or 700 homes. So we're looking at the next 4 or 5 years with the growth in the plats that have already been approved. We're gonna double the size of the community. And I guess with, kind of as we've gone through the discussion, one of the things maybe we haven't talked about yet is that not necessarily a moratorium on the twin homes, but do we need to kind of have the same concern about the ratios and the numbers of twin homes in relationship to single family homes that we are? Because I think when we kind of talk about this in general, we're looking, the duplex kind of includes a twin home. It's just a semantical thing in terms of this splitting the lots and, providing for additional opportunities for sale by individuals. Not that they're all painted the same color and cookie cutter, in terms of trying to make the twin homes, have some variety and things to them. So, I mean, is that something that we need to consider as it relates to twin homes? Just ask the three of you that question.
I think twin home is a duplex, isn't it?
In regard to living units, in terms of selling them, it's different. But, I mean, we're saying we're gonna put a moratorium on duplexes, but then, and we've had this limitation in place of 60/40, which we kind of have gone against, or questioned. But then now we're gonna say that twin homes can be built without any limitation.
Well, what I recall on our discussion on the moratorium is that we get so many planned, when we implement the moratorium, it's, that's subject to change. If we said 48 months, future council can go back and revisit that if they want to change that.
Sure.
That's their right. Is that correct?
Yeah, city council cannot bind future governing bodies from really anything.
So even though it's 48 months, I think it gives us, with the discussion when it came to this decision we were talking about, let's see what that looks like. We need to have time for these duplexes to come in, and you can kind of reassess at that point the needs of the community. But
so we want to do 90-10. 90 single family, 10 duplex.
Which would be 20.
Would be 20.
20 units.
Yeah.
So you're talking about going forward then after this for duplexes, or are you talking about twin homes?
Twin homes.
Twin homes.
Yes, in my mind, I was thinking that if we did 20/80, which would still be a 1/3, 2/3. I mean, I look at like Cloverleaf, and if they're done and built appropriately, there's some diversity in style. I think if we could look at a crystal ball and understand 5 years from now what the economy was going to be like, what future people's desires are, there is obviously some shift in terms of.
Well, the 60/40 got us in trouble.
Well, I agree, and
So,
but I'm just saying.
Yes. Definitely no on that.
Right, but I'm thinking maybe 90-10 might be a little too restrictive. It'll be, with the development in the county and the things going on around us, I think we have a responsibility to our community to make some determination of what that mix should be. I think we are in agreement that the 60/40 mix, where we are today, is inappropriate. And it's not in the best interest of the community to go forward with that limit. So then the next question is, if we put a moratorium on the duplexes, we're going to allow, what I'm asking is if we're going to go ahead and allow for twin homes, I guess I would be more in favor of doing an 80/20 limitation with them, with allowing the developer to come in, and if they want to amend that, they can come in talk to the planning commission and we can negotiate. But I think to have an 80-20, which is, to build 100 units, you're gonna have 80 homes and 40 twin homes. If the twin homes are done and they blend in with the other homes, and they sell them, then the market's demands being met. And
I think just want to table it and maybe give a lot of people's left tonight, because this meeting's been going on so long. We can get the citizens in here to see what they think.
Well, I think it'd be interesting too to maybe take a look at the updated data that we requested from, the study that was done. So, I'm fine. But I think there's a hole in this at this point in terms of relates to what, if we do want to put a limit on the twin homes or where we go from here on that. So, and then too, it might be nice to have all 5 of us be a part of the final decision too.
Sam, because that's a delta, the crystal ball is a delta.
Right.
I mean, make a decision today, and either way, wherever the economy goes, I think you're going to sell regardless, but, it's the aesthetics of it.
Sure.
To drive the needs, so. I concur, I think we are able to for a little bit.
It gives us more time to consider other options and things, so.
Okay.
You guys like us to bring it back on October 6th?
Yes.
2025.
Yeah. Second?
No, I think, that'd be fine, October 6th, and then we can maybe take a look at getting a hold of some of that data.
We sent out the update several weeks ago, but if you guys want to take another pass at that, please look in your email archives, it's there.
I think we need to have a discussion about it.
Okay.
I think we need to talk through that.
I'd like to see more community involvement as well is there a way to set up a line where people call in and
Would you guys like us to do a workshop, standalone from a city council meeting to discuss this very specific issue?
That would be
we definitely do that if we can get participation, but if there's
But we don't need a special real estate agent to come from somewhere, please.
Yes, agree.
I don't know, I'm just thinking out of the box. I mean, is there a way to set up a line where people call in and give, that they could make a public meeting like that?
I don't know about that.
Because I'm the rest back here.
I don't know about that specifically, but
I think
there's other ways
we need to be up here on the bench. If we're gonna engage the community, we need to be up here and we can have a special meeting for this and we can figure that out here with everyone's schedule.
We'll get it done before Thanksgiving, obviously, so maybe first or second week of October. That way we have a few weeks to get the word out through a few different methods of communication, and then we want to put a framework around the workshop.
Sure.
So that'll give staff a little time to develop that.
Okay.
Fair enough.
What, you guys want to go like 7 a.m. or what are you thinking for work?
If you get too early, we have to have a couple of meetings.
We'll figure that out. We'll send out some options to you guys.
Is there a motion for a tabling?
I make a motion to table.
And second?
Chris makes the motion, Brett seconds, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion's been tabled,
Thank you very much. This is item I-9, this is an overlay district classification adoption. So this is, some quick background, so as previously discussed, the city's growing, and discussions on growth and development has come up on multiple occasions. The City Council and Planning Commission did meet collectively, like I said, on July 8th. On July 15th, City Council expressed the desire to see proposed limit. On September 3rd, City Council presented a draft resolution. Governing body voted 3-2 for the simple moratorium. The resolution also detailed the ideas and design standards as spoke about with twin homes. The resolution previously considered agenda item I-9 would require an overlay district if it was adopted or considered or passed or modified. Consideration would be for an overlay district. This has come up several times before. And the governing body would be forcing certain limitations on the introduction of twin homes. So if City Council deems this as an appropriate way for development implementation, they can direct staff to proceed. The city staff will then publish a notice in the city newspaper waiting 20 days. and then take the draft ordinance, introduce an overlay district to the planning commission. Once approved by the planning commission, it will be presented to the city council for final adoption to the subdivision regulations. So regardless of what of the I-9 discussion, an overlay district has come up multiple times, both in the past and recently, simply because an overlay district, what it does is it acts to supplement an existing zoning classification. So zoning has limitations on bulk regulations, on acceptable uses, on not acceptable uses, on conditional uses, on special uses, height limitations, things of that nature. What an overlay district does is it works in tandem with that zoning district to add additional provisions and parameters to that specific geography. So it could be zoned R1, R2, R3, R4, any other zoning classification, and then you can put an overlay district on top of that. And this has come up before with questions about limiting duplexes in terms of ratio, single family to two family. Developers have proposed the idea of an overlay district because Wichita has an overlay district. We did have an overlay district option. It's just it's a medium that can be used in the subdivision regulations to add additional provisions onto a development. And so in the past, we've had them file restrictive covenants with the register of deeds to limit the ratios, and this way would be a cleaner way of doing it, which actually outlines what the restrictions are a little bit more effectively. And there's an application process as well, along with a fee, which would go before the planning commission and go before city council. So there's ways that the planning commission, city council can ask for a developer to impose additional restrictions upon themselves if these developments were to come up in questions about ratios or limitations on land use or things of that nature, or improving the public right of way or adding more park space. This is a medium that would help with that type of process. It's something that a lot of larger cities have adopted over the years, and it's just something that was discussed back in 2022, and now we're just getting around to it now. But the overlay district, as mentioned, is meant to be tailored to each specific project if necessary. It will have clear stipulations of what it can be used for, and by extension, what it cannot be used for. An overlay district can be used in multiple different ways for development parameters, including but not limited to the following required ratios for developments, whether it's parcel or dwelling units, restrictions for access control, limitations on land use, provisions for public space, parks, neighborhood pools, etc., walkability and design standards. So these are just some examples of how you can use an overlay district. Financially, we would have to have a small publication cost to set the public hearing for the planning commission, and then if the planning commission decides that it was a good idea to modify the subdivision regulations with the overlay district, they would make a recommendation to the city council for adoption or modification as necessary. And if the city council decides that it's a good thing to adopt into the subdivision regulations, you would pass it, and then it would be approved with an ordinance. Legally, it's approved as formed by Robert Brookman and Morris Lang. It is recommended the city council review the proposed overlay district and direct staff accordingly. So there is a draft in your agenda item outlining some of the what we just discussed. But if there's any questions about an overlay district, what it means, how it's used, applications, fees, structure, parameters, entitlement, anything of that nature, feel free to ask me. Like I said, it's not uncommon for other cities to have this. It's just something that's come up more recently in the last.
Where's this one at?
Excuse me?
Is there one right now?
No, we don't have an overlay district. So the draft one, I actually basically I stole it from Wichita and just modified it.
Okay.
So I modified it in a way because Wichita has what's called a protective overlay, which we want to make that distinction between a protective overlay and just a traditional overlay. A protective overlay is usually used in areas like airports to protect height limitations, so airplanes can't get around that area or hit a building. Also, they're used for like riparian streams, protecting waterways, things like that. That's a protective overlay. This is an overlay district that's going to be used to usually modify or supplement zoning and real estate developments.
We talked about this 6 months. Did we see some examples?
Yes, there are some examples where Delano District has a neighborhood plan, which is included in the subdivision regulations of the city of Wichita. So that's kind of like an overlay district, but it is exactly that. It's an overlay district. It adds additional parameters for architectural standards, height limitations, bulk regulations, and things of that nature that supplements the existing zoning of the city of Wichita.
Is this for the whole city of Goddard, or just or specific parts?
Specific parts. Good question. So it can be used for one lot. It can be used for 1,000 lots. The geography is defined in the overlay district, so you would actually lay out which areas it applies to. You can use it for existing development that's already in place. For example, if you had an area, let's say the central business district, and you wanted to impose additional regulations that required maybe historic preservation or additional design criteria or a reduction in parking requirements or something of that nature, or maybe the introduction of parking requirements, something else of that, you can work with the business owners to overlay that area. In fact, you can do it unilaterally without their approval. It's kind of a purview of the city council. Or if any developers bought land and wanted to present a development to you guys, and you're like, well, we like it, but we want to see X, Y, Z, and we want you to apply for an overlay district to run in tandem with that for the title of the project, you can do that as well.
You see in a lot of historic downtowns, Delano District for one, and in some of the smaller communities that have historic downtowns, they want to protect the historical nature of the buildings that are 150 years old. They want specific facade requirements and colors and designs and stuff like that. But we kind of put this together with in the same vein as the two-family discussion. However, it can be utilized broadly in other areas of town for other reasons as well.
What recommendation do you need from us? You need us to give you direction to review?
If you like what's being proposed, generally speaking, I need to publish it in the city newspaper. And so if you're okay with us moving forward, this is not an approval. At this point, you're just asking us to draft it, bring that draft before planning commission, and then you would see that draft at the city council meeting after planning commission see it. So I would publish it first in the city newspaper. We'd have to wait 20 days. I would take it to the planning commission in October. And then after I take it to the planning commission in October, they will review it and decide if they want to see any changes to it or if they think they want to approve it as it is. After the planning commission's given feedback to me, I would present that feedback to you on the following council meeting, which would be the one after. That would be the second council meeting in October. I present it to you guys, and you guys can look at it, review it, suggest modifications, adoption, tabling it, whatever you want to see at that point.
Don't these overlay districts specifically tie to like individual developments? This is kind of seems like it's just kind of the approval of the general process.
This is, yeah, so it's an approval of, basically it's an approval of a modification to zoning. So it's something that would go through in the zoning districts, so you would approve it in tandem with zoning. So it's not for any specific development, it can be applied to any type of development. It's not specific to twin homes or, let's say, the restrictions of land use. It can be applied anywhere within the city to any type of development. It can be applied to existing buildings. It can be applied to just a building. It can be applied to blocks. It can be applied to the whole city. It can be applied to new developments that are being proposed. It can be used in any way that the city council deems necessary or prudent to further the ideals of the city council in terms of the benefits of the city in the future.
So it's another step basically in the process.
In the entitlement process.
If
you
say
feel
they
it's
did that
necessary.
overlay, right? And say Ace Hardware went out of business, and we decided, and somebody decided to turn it into a 5-room duplex. That overlay would cover that, right?
You could propose an overlay that restricts land uses. Yeah, I mean, right now duplexes are not allowed. In the general commercial district, duplexes aren't allowed. But hypothetically, let's say apartments are allowed. They are
Apartments,
allowed.
right.
So let's say
Turn
right
it into
now,
apartments.
apartments are allowed in the general business district. If you approved an overlay on the commercial corridor on 54 and that
Yeah.
overlay district said no apartments allowed, then
Yeah.
it's an additional restriction on that.
There you go.
So we're approving a process.
Yes.
not
A process.
specifically.
Yes.
All right.
He just threatened Ace Hardware, Russ.
I heard it.
I'm good.
Any other comments about apartments and 30-story apartment buildings on top of hardware stores?
I just had to throw Ace Hardware out
Gotcha, I
there.
see.
Free
I could have
advertising.
said the old Dollar General or the old liquor store that's like vacant, you know.
Yeah, but he did, he said Ace Hardware.
I did.
No more propane for you.
Krista?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay. So you want to, would you need a motion to approve this or?
Yes, a motion and a second to proceed.
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend the city to move forward with this.
I second.
Bert makes the motion, Krista seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Micah, you may move forward.
Thank you, I appreciate it. This is I-10, this is the low bid award for Rustic Creek Phase 2 sanitary sewer. So Rustic Creek Development was approved the final plat on February 3rd of 2020. Phase 2 petitions were approved on April 1st of 2024 with resolution 24-13 through 24-16. On May 20th of 2024, the city issued temporary note series 2024-2 to finance the improvements for Rustic Creek Phase 2. On September 10th of 2024, the city opened bids for the sanitary sewer improvements for Phase 2. The low bidder was McCullough Excavation in the amount of $145,560. This amount, though being the lowest bid, was over the engineer's estimate due to cost fluctuations and material prices. The city would ask the city council to award the low bid contingent upon approval of the additional financing that will be needed to bond to cover the cost difference. A resolution for the new sanitary sewer associated costs has been submitted by Garber to be considered by the city council on the Tuesday meeting following this meeting. The Phase 2 of Rustic Creek is 27 lots. The land use is single-family detached. So, City Council is reviewing and approving the low bid to McCullough Excavation for the sanitary sewer improvements of Rustic Creek Phase 2. This bid award shall be contingent upon approval by the City Council of the new resolution for the sanitary sewer improvements. Phase 2 is 27 lots. The low bid amount is $145,506.50. The low bidder is McCullough Excavation. It's over the engineer's estimate. The new resolution shall be considered by City Council. Yellow is what they bid. Here's the engineer's estimate at $132,762, and then following bids from the other contractors. Here's Phase 2 Rustic. So as Phase 1 is up here. This is Phase 2, which will cut Main Street down and connect it to the South Frontage Road over here. This would be Phase 3 as they move forward. So Phase 1 is up here, Phase 2, and then Phase 3. As mentioned, it's about 105 lots total for the whole development. 27 is for Phase 2. It's all single family detached. Financially and non-legally is approved as a form. It is recommended that the City Council award the bid to McCullough Excavation for Rustic Creek Phase 2 sanitary sewer, contingent upon approval of the new resolution for the associated costs. That'd be a simple motion second.
I make a motion we approve the low bid.
Second.
I made the motion, Brent seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Item number 11. What?
Now the public works.
Now the public works.
Waited all night. Okay, Honorable Mayor and Council, item I-11 is authorized 183rd Street turn lanes RFP advertisement. Little history, December 15th, 23, the city applied for an access management agreement with the state of Kansas requesting funding for the addition of turn lanes at the intersection of 183rd Street and US 54. On January 25th of 24, the state approved the agreement in which they would fund 100% of the proposed turn lanes construction costs up to $1 million that the city must pay for all design, engineering, and field services. February 5th, 24, the city entered an agreement with allowing Trans Systems to provide those services, meaning design, engineering, and field services. Trans Systems has completed the design plans for the improvements on 183rd and US 54 and is requesting permission to proceed with preparation of a request for a proposal or RFP. Once completed, the RFP will be released to allow companies to submit bids for the project. Something neat about this project, not only is it going to put turn lanes in at that intersection, it is going to extend sidewalks along the north frontage road from 183rd to Seasons, and on the south frontage road from 183rd to Crown Drive, I believe, which are sorely needed, and that's a great addition to this. Ancillary items here, financials. City has incurred several costs to date for the development and execution of the 183rd turn lane project. Below is a summary of the expenditures and funding sources. Currently, we've spent $3,600 on easement cost and $96,888.69 on two Trans Systems for contractor engineering, design, and inspection. We have not spent all that. We are committed to those costs. So right now, we're committed to a total cost of $100,488.69.
All expenses to date have been drawn from Fund 90 Capital Improvement Fund. As the project continues, additional costs will be allocated from this fund if we go to that $1 million. As I stated before, the project construction costs, Trans-System estimates, the city has secured funding from KDOT up to a limit of $1 million for the construction of that project. Any costs exceeding this amount will be the city's responsibility. Legal approved as a form. Questions? Now, we really are pretty confident based on what our street projects have been coming in this year that this will come in under $1 million. And if council will remember, we had some discussion a couple meetings ago about the timeline on this project. It's typically a 90-day project, but with the complete shutdown of the north side of the intersection, the 183rd onto US 54 heading south, if we shut that down completely, it'll reduce the time to do this project to 60 days, which is huge. And I think that's a good thing to consider, because if we shut down 183rd to one lane going one way or the other, it's going to have about the same impact as shutting it down completely. It's going to cause a mess over there.
It'll be nice when it's done.
It will be very nice when it's done, and if you live over there and you drive that intersection, as I know Councilmember Trailer does, it's become a hassle, hasn't it?
You know, the light there works.
The light actually works the way KDOT wants it to, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Mayor, I just add, 'cause I see a ton of sentiment about 199th and 54 as well. We'll apply for a similar program because that one is so much more of a mess than this one. I am hoping that we're doing construction out there maybe by the end of 26, early 2027 on that intersection. But we've got to get this one done first. We got the ARCAD done. That'll kind of recalibrate traffic, so to speak. Now we have these new traffic control systems in. And we'll have a study done at 54 and 199th that'll last about a month. And we can apply for the access management funds to improve that intersection. So I know there's a lot of people that are, upset about this one, but the other one as well. And we're pushing paper as fast as we can to try to get those fixed up. It just takes a lot of time, and that time's typically out of our control.
Yes, and to add on to that, KDOT will not look at 199th intersection until we finish. First the ARCAD, and now 183rd get traffic normalized so they can do their study as normalized traffic flow through there.
Just growing pains.
Say again?
Just growing pains.
There are some growing pains, I agree, and that 199th is a challenge to get through as well.
And I think it's good though that they are providing funding for this at 183rd Street. They are engaging with us. We've had a couple meetings with them, with the KDOT officials. We will continue to meet with them, having discussions about timing on traffic lights and all those different things. But I think they've got their processes to go through, but at least they're engaging with us, and I think we've got good communication with those people at this point. We appreciate what they're doing, and I think they know that there's some other issues along the highway there that we need to continue to work on. So, but thank you. I think we need to
Make a motion that we propose the improvements for the intersection of 183rd and US 54.
I second.
thank you, Brett. Brett, motion. Kristen seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Council.
Someday soon that will be done.
It'll be smooth.
It'll be smooth.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. City Administrator report. Item J.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Happy to be back and clean up here tonight. I'm going to try to be brief here. I won't go word for word, but the Kansas Water Office grant, we are reapplying for that. We made an attempt in the last season. They had 300 applications and $380 million in requests. Obviously, the amount of funding available for that is much lesser. The Tri-Gov meeting, tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, October 16th. We're waiting on confirmation from one planning commissioner before we etch that in stone. Super excited about that opportunity. The residential well digging opportunity that staff's worked on.
that is good to go. I just need to figure out the best way to start marketing that and getting it out to the community. So pretty happy to secure that. Annual goals check-in, we bumped that to October 6th because the Tuesday afternoon, and obviously this meeting agenda got pretty lengthy, and that warrants a pretty in-depth conversation. It takes time. So Ad hoc Water Committee, next meeting is Monday, September 23rd here at City Hall. August Community Development Update, same figures you looked at last council meeting. Roadway project, 2nd Street's finished up. 1st Street, looks like most of the excavation is completed and they've got a lot of that rock compacted as well. North Frontage Road is in the final phase. Looking at a few short weeks there, depending on how wet it is this week. Looking at having CED get started early on the surveying and the very small amount of planning that's needed for the remainder of 1st and then 3rd Street. Since we know we're doing full depth reconstruction, it doesn't need a full design, just need to do some survey work and maybe go out there and walk it, and that way we can hopefully transition to next year's road projects right at the beginning of spring, get them done before we get too far into summer months. Linear Park lighting project, you've seen that's been staked, so we're hoping to see them out there at some point in the next couple of weeks. We'll do our best to give our neighbors a heads up. Of course, we'll make sure that they avoid Fall Fest weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if they just showed up even though they're not supposed to. We'll send them home if they do that. And then they'll be back 3 months later. But jokes aside, there's the calendar for the SCADA project. Super excited about that one. It's a big capital need we've had for a long time. Set us up well in the future. Fall Fest, I just mentioned it, down on the farm, October 12th. I think this is a little known secret that needs a lot more shouting to the rooftops. We're getting the carnival back. I know it's getting to the witching hour here and we're tired and ready to go home, but we need to be excited and celebrate that. It is very, very hard to get the carnival to come back. They go on the same circuit every year. They know where their money makers are. They go to the same cities every weekend. So for the chamber to be able to get them to come back to Goddard is a big deal. I hope we can keep them. I look forward to riding those squirrel cages. Senior Meals ribbon cutting, September 19th, 3 o'clock at the Goddard Community / Senior Centers. Excited about that. Goddard North Park, a couple of date updates there. We had to reschedule our last committee meeting to later next month. Council should still have a comprehensive presentation on November 18th. Upcoming agenda items, we've got some more petitions coming up, Arbor Creek South, and then we're coupling that with a couple of other developments as well. Master fee schedule amendments, engineer services agreement for one of our public infrastructure projects and one of our new subdivisions. We're going to review the 10-year capital improvement program for the roadways section. Trying to put that in a meeting that doesn't have a lengthy agenda because it's an item that's going to take a lot of discussion and maybe a standalone. So we're going to try to fit that in. The goal is to get the 10-year CIP adopted by the end of the year. I feel like we're on schedule. The public hearing for the single hauler trash, I want to say that is the October 6th meeting. Ryan to vacate, but I'm pretty sure it's that night. We'll update you on that during our Tuesday meeting. And then we're going to be looking at moving some more of the regular business in the consent agenda because these meetings are going a little longer than best practice suggests. The later we get into the evening, sometimes our dialogue can wane. So some of the things like that we saw tonight that could go into consent agenda, very practically speaking, would be like the quarterly report from the library, the approval of the trunk or treat, maybe one or two other things too, and then you just bought yourself 30 minutes. So the purpose of the city council meeting is to execute the business of the city. If we want to have a lot of two-way dialogue and presentations and stuff, we need to have separate workshops, or we need to take care of that Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. So we're going to be looking at our governing body manual. We'll kind of talk about what we feel comfortable with going to the consent agenda. But be weary, you still got to read it word for word, or you can get into some bugaboos when you approve stuff on the consent agenda without looking at it. So, or looking at it thoroughly, so to speak. Yes, stuff like that. One quick other thing, you notice the volume was up a little bit more tonight. We've had some complaints about people being able to hear well on the live stream, so we got that bad boy cranked up. I had Micah mark the spot where the dials turn, so we'll keep it up like this moving forward. So, appreciate your time this evening. It's been fun working for you guys. thankful for what we have going on here in the great city of Goddard.
Good job, sir.
Item K, governing body comments. Aubrey.
I'm happy we got the senior thing out of the way. That's been something kind of, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that, so. I'm kind of drawing a blank, so I'll just pass it on. Thank you guys for all your hard work.
Appreciate that. Next.
I am really like, just so upset that I'm not gonna be able to make it this weekend. Darn it.
We understand. You just gotta win an award.
Huh?
You just gotta win.
Right.
That's good. You gonna
I'm going to
elaborate?
Ratstock
That's okay.
in Illinois.
Well, it's a long way from home. Take plenty of breadcrumbs so you can
It's
find
the
your
Rat
rat.
Rod build-off competition.
Okay. That'd be cool if you win.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
Bring the prize home to us.
Krista.
I'd like to thank the seniors for, again, coming up and advocating for this senior center, and Russ for your comments, and then for the 3 letters in favor of the senior center also. Thank you, city staff, for putting everything together for us. You're doing a great job. Thank you, Micah, for slowing down in your presentation. It's appreciated. That's all.
Somebody breaking it.
That ain't me.
One of y'all.
Not my truck.
That's probably not mine.
If it stops when I leave.
So it's not.
There's stuff.
It's tough.
I want to thank my wife for coming tonight and speaking. Because she was not going to do that. I don't know what she did to twist her arm to do that,
Actually, I did it.
but I don't know why that was really touching for me, because I know she doesn't like to do that kind of stuff, so I appreciate her doing that, so. I just appreciate the council that we have. I hope that Keaton and his family get to feeling better. So many great things happening here in our community, and I appreciate the work of the staff. We just need to press on. So, and with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
9 o'clock, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.